Okay, question 17. Let T be a triangle whose edges are 8, 15, and 17 centimeters. Then, option A, the triangle T is similar to a triangle having sides 3, 4, and 5. Option B, the triangle T is not a right angle triangle. Option C, the triangle T is similar to a triangle having sides 7, 24, and 25. And option D, none of the above. So let's begin with option B, or whenever you're given 3 sides, okay, to that, and they say the 3 sides form a triangle, the first basic triangle you have to test for is a right angle triangle. So you have to test if the square of the longest side is equal to the sum of the squares of the other 2 sides. In this situation, it is, because 8, 15, and 17 are Pythagorean triplets. So it means that the triangle T1 is a right angle triangle. We can sketch it. Now let us say, okay, that is the triangle T. Now let us call the triangle with sides 7, 24, and 25. Let us call it T1. And then the triangle with sides 3, 4, 5. Let us call it T2. We now verify if they are also right angle triangles. So for this guy here, 7, 24, and 25 are also Pythagorean triplets, because 25 squared is 24 squared plus 7 squared. So our T1 is a right angle triangle. Here is a sketch. The basic, or the first basic Pythagorean triplets are 3, 4, 5. Alright, so 5 squared is 4 squared plus 3 squared. So T2 is a right angle triangle, and that is a sketch. So it therefore means that option B is wrong, which is saying that T is not a right angle triangle, since we already identified that it's actually a right angle triangle. Okay, now let us now look at option A and option C. It's talking about similar triangles. So I'm going to give you 2 triangles, and I'm going to give you the condition for any 2 triangles to be similar, or any figure to be similar, but in this case we deal with triangles. So I'm going to consider the triangle A here, and I'm going to consider the triangle B here. Now we say that these 2 triangles are similar if and only if the first thing is that the ratio between their corresponding side lengths are supposed to be equal. So if I take A divided by A1, those are corresponding side lengths, the height. It should be the same as B divided by B1, and it should be the same as C divided by C1. The second condition is that the angles in those triangles must be congruent, meaning they must be either equal or multiples of each other. But to actually solve this question, we are going to dwell on the first case, meaning we do the ratio between the corresponding sides and we verify if they are constant, or if they are the same. So let us begin with the first one, that is option A, which is saying triangle T, and this one is T2, right? Let us do the ratio between corresponding sides. 17 hypotenuse divided by 5. 17 divided by 5 is it equal to 15 divided by 4, and is it equal to 8 divided by 3? So you see, they are not equal, all right, because 17 divided by 5 is 3.4, 15 divided by 4 is 3.75, and 8 divided by 3 is 2.66. So they are unequal. Therefore option A is wrong, which is saying that the triangle T is similar to T2. Now let us look at triangle T and T1. We do the ratio between the corresponding side lengths. 17 divided by 25. 17 divided by 25 is 0.68. 15 divided by 24 is 0.625. They are already unequal, so we can even end there. But if we take 8 divided by 7, it's going to give us 1.14. So you see that the responses are not equal. Therefore triangle T is not similar to triangle T2. So in conclusion, option D is correct. Alright, question 18. Let x be a real number, then the absolute value of e to the negative x minus 2e to the negative 2x is equal to 2e to the negative 2x minus e to the negative x for x less than 0, for x greater than log 2, for x less than log 2 and for x greater than 0. Now note, when you see log, okay, sometimes it means to the base 10 and sometimes it means to the base e, it means lean. So in any of the cases, you always verify to see if it means log, if it means log to the base 10 or it means log to the base e, that is lean. All right, so we are going to define what the absolute value of f of x is what the absolute value of f of x means. The absolute value of f of x is equal to f of x if f of x is positive, and it is negative f of x if f of x is negative. You should note that the absolute value is a positive function, okay? So when they say it is negative f of x, it doesn't mean that it is negative. Why? Because the f of x itself is negative. So when you multiply the negative and the function itself, which is negative, it yields you a positive function. So be very vigilant. Don't say the absolute value or the magnitude is negative. It's not negative. It's negative of the function, provided the function is negative. So you multiply the two and you get a positive result. You see, and it is positive of the function if the function is positive. So in all cases, it is positive. So we are going to define what this absolute value is. So the absolute value of e to the negative x minus 2e to the negative 2x will be positive. In fact, it's going to be itself if it is positive, and it's going to be negative of itself. If you multiply this interior here by negative, you're going to get a switch of position of the terms, okay, provided itself is negative. Now if you look at all the responses, it's just dwelling on the second case. So it means that the absolute value will be the second case if e to the negative x minus 2e to the negative 2x is negative. So if you multiply all through by e to the power 2x, we are going to arrive at e to the x minus 2 to be less than 0. Because you multiply this by e to the 2x, it will give you e to the x. Multiply this by e to the 2x, it will give you negative 2. Multiply 0 by e to the 2x, it will give you 0. And since e to the 2x is positive, then the inequality sign remains less than. From here, we have e to the x less than 2. You take ln on both sides, you're going to get x less than ln 2. So in this case, they consider the ln to be log. Okay, so x is less than log 2. So you now see that what? That the absolute value will be negative of itself. The absolute value of the function will be negative of the function provided your x is less than log 2. So if we check closely, option C will be the right option. Okay, question 19. Inequalities once again. The solutions of the inequality, the square root of x minus 3 of x minus 1 less than 3 minus x is. Okay, so option A says that 1 is less than or equal to x less than or equal to 3. Option B says that x is less than 2 union x is greater than 5. Option C says 1 is less than or equal to x less than 2. And option D says x is equal to 1. Okay, so the first thing to do is that we find a domain of definition of this inequality. We are doing that because not all the functions here have domains as a set of real numbers. In certain situations, we don't find the domains because the functions involved are always defined for all values of x. But this is not the case, okay, because the square root function has to be restricted. So we find a domain of definition, and the domain will be such that the square root, the domain of definition of the inequality is a domain of definition of the square root function, okay, because 3 minus x is a line, so it is always defined. Now for the square root function to be defined, the interior has to be greater than 0 or equal to 0. Doing that and solving, you get that the inequality is defined for all x greater or equal to 1. We can indicate that solution, that inequality on a number line. Now we have to square both sides. That's the only thing we have to do, and we don't just square both sides like that in inequalities. Be very vigilant. For us to square both sides, those sides must be positive. We now come and look at these two sides. The square root function is a positive function, so the square root of 9 is 3. The square root of 4 is 2, and not plus or minus 2. So note, the square root function is a positive function. So to square the both sides of this inequality, all of them have to be positive. since this man is already positive, then the condition for squaring both sides will dwell just on the sign of 3 minus x. So for us to square both sides, 3 minus x has to be positive, meaning that x has to be less than 3. When you square both sides, in fact, let's just indicate x less than 3. So we open our circle at 3 and we take everything going downwards. Alright, when you square both sides and simplify, you're going to arrive at x minus 2 times x minus 5 greater than 0. This is a quadratic inequality which has already been factorized. So we can just get the critical values by equating the factors to 0. We equate x minus 2 to 0, we get x equal to 2. We equate x minus 5 to 0, we get x equal to 5. If we go to our number line and then we indicate x equal to 2 and x equal to 5. So that is 5 and then that is 2. We now do our sign test. We take values above 5, we replace in the function here, then we multiply, we simplify, and we know the sign. So let's take 6. 6 minus 2 is 4. 6 minus 5 is 1. 4 times 1 is 4. It is positive. So the sign there is positive. So there is now alternation of sign. So between 2 and 5, you have a negative sign. And less than 2, you have a positive sign. But what do we need? We need the interval. X is supposed to be in an interval where when we replace x here and replace here and multiply, the result is supposed to be greater than 0, meaning positive. So for all x that are greater than 5 and all x less than 2, it works. So the solution set is x less than 2 union x greater than 5. But for us to arrive at this situation, we use the condition that x must be less than 3. So we intersect x less than 2 union x greater than 5 with x less than 3. You're just going to get x less than 2, okay? Because all your solutions are supposed to be less than 3, and all solutions greater than 5 are not less than 3, so that region is cancelled. But all solutions less than 2 are less than 3, so the solution is x less than 2. But if you are less than 2, you must be in the domain of definition, because 0 is less than 2. But if I replace 0 here, I'll have the square root of negative 1. The inequality is already not defined in the set of real numbers. You're not getting to complex numbers, right? So you now see that we have that was the reason of indicating the domain. So the solution is x less than 2, as we have seen. But now we need to bring it out to the number line of the domain. So less than 2, we have that. You also have to be greater than 1, meaning that you are supposed to be less than 2 and greater than 1. So it means you should be between 2 and 1, and we can take 1 because the square root of 1 minus 1 is the square root of 0, which exists. So option C is correct. Inequalities is one of the most important, complicated, at the same time where you can easily fail topic in the concours of public works. Look at option B. Somebody who just square both sides without even considering the condition or the domain will automatically pick option B, x less than 2 union x greater than 5, and fail. So you have to be very vigilant. Finally, question 20. In one city, all residents with ages 60 or over have received 2 doses of COVID-19 vaccine. Mr. Giovanni received only 1 dose. So inevitably, sorry guys, I never actually indicated, I never actually added a slide for the solution of this question. I forgot about that. So I just put just the answer. So in the next video, so the answer is actually D, okay? So in the next video, I'm going to explain, I'm going to begin with question 20 before entering question 21. So do well to share the video, so I'm going to be motivated to do the next video. All right, see you guys in the next video. Thank you for watching. Share the video with your friends, subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment. Your comments are very important. They go a long way to motivate me and inspire me to be able to produce other content once I feel that people are actually being helped by the videos. So always notify when the video is good. Thank you very much, and see you in the next video.